Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
As always, links to the show notes, and we're going to queue it up right away, because Parker, what do we have?
We got news!
News! Hey,
Let's go news!
Yes. News! All right, Parker, what's the news?
So we'll start with the least amount of detail, which is we've got a box for the Inhuman Royal Court character pack coming out.
I wasn't even counting that.
This is just a small amount of news. If we're excited for Gorgon, Maximus the Mad, Black Bolt, and Karnak, we got a street date in March.
Okay, street date. What is the date?
So I think it's March 15th, I want to say,
Okay.
but this is my memory, I'm not looking at it right now.
So they're just throwing their normal release cycle out the fucking window, because normally they do second Friday, and so now they're doing third Saturday.
Well, no,
at least third Friday.
Maybe my number's wrong. Let me look.
Okay, that's fair.
Let me look at the
But
actual.
I mean, this month for January, they're doing the fourth week, which I assume is so like there's not a new release for LVO.
Yeah.
So that's actually nice, but it's just weird that they skipped December, January's late, there's nothing in February, and now it's like it's just all over the place.
I was wrong by one day. It's March 14th, so it's still a Friday.
Okay, so it is the second Friday. Okay, so we're good.
So
all right,
yeah.
So we have a release date. That's cool. All right, that was all the news.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll just take a moment because a couple listeners mentioned this to me in the episode that you guys first noticed that they were coming into the game. You all kind of talked amongst each other about how you have no idea what these are. You can't possibly imagine a situation in which these are cool.
Because
yeah, I thought wasn't there an episode that was like, what the fuck is this guy? Or was it this box, or was it a different box that you had zero idea of what they come from in the comics, and I wasn't here to tell you anything about them, and so
that's every box for me. So it clearly wasn't me saying.
I mean,
anything.
I know who the Inhumans are. Maybe we were doing it facetiously.
Yeah,
I don't know.
At any rate,
but I mean, I know who the Inhumans are. I remember Karnak specifically from the old Fantastic Four cartoon. Mm-hmm. He's in there, and then Black Bolt shows up in that same episode. It's like I know who the Inhumans are. It's just like no one. I think I was maybe referencing what other people are thinking. I was like, no one cares about the Inhumans. Like they're no one's favorite team. Like Black Bolt is mysterious but not cool.
I would. I think me personally, I will try to play Karnak because I think that model is fucking awesome. I love which Karnak they chose because old school Egghead Karnak is a cool character concept, like from a superhero perspective, but he looks so stupid. So when they remade him into the Street Fighter hoodie Karnak, I love that they chose that for this. I wish they would have chosen the modern Gorgon as well, because they basically went with modern everything except Gorgon. They went with classic Gorgon. But I am excited for Karnak specifically, and hopefully a Black Bolt is also cool. But anyway, we know that also on March 14th, the War of Kings character and crisis card pack is coming out. We don't know anything about Gladiator, who's coming in it yet. We have some strange pieces of his tactics cards, which we can talk about later when we actually know what the hell they do. Again, we have not enough information to be able to draw any conclusions about those.
We're going to draw a lot of conclusions from these. All right, so first off, we have Protector of the Empire.
Don't you fucking dare.
No, I'm serious. We're going to talk about that. So it costs 3 power. He gets to use it when an allied character is dazed or KO'd. And clearly, it just undazes or KOs them.
No,
that's clearly what it does because it says daze or KO later.
No, I'm pretty sure what it does is it lets him do his. It's Protector of the Empire, so it lets him do one of his attacks, and if it dazes or KOs the enemy, Gladiator gets some sort of effect. We're not sure what it is, but
it looks like he gets to do his Protector Punch or something. But I don't know. It looked to me like Seeing Red, basically, just as a reprint.
Praetor of the Imperial Guard could be the band card that gives you power. Oh shit, what's the name of it? I'm just blanking on it.
R&D.
Yeah, it looks like advanced R&D.
It could be. Spend 4, choose up to X. X equals the number of blank Gladiator has, so it's clearly going to be like what does he do? It's like confidence tokens or something.
I don't know.
Isn't his power based off his own confidence?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it could be an advanced R&D.
Yeah. It'll just be advanced R&D, but it like costs 4. I don't know. Could be a lot of stuff.
Yep.
I don't know. The fact that they're both really expensive to me implies he'll have extra power generation.
It could be up to 4 power to play this card, so it does not.
That's true.
So it choose up to X other characters, in which X is equal to the number of powers spent. So it could be advanced R&D.
No, because it says Gladiator has. So I think it's going to be spend up to X, where X is the number of tokens he has, and that will determine the maximum amount of power you can spend.
Maybe.
But yeah, we're just going off of guesses there. So let's get into the hard facts. The real hard, stone cold facts.
Okay, so we do have some
deadline
stone cold
to destruction.
Facts.
We know everything.
Yeah, we know. We know the names of 4 new crises, and we have a really good idea of one of them, a strong idea of the other, and almost nothing about the last 2.
We know about 90% of one of them, 100% of another, and about 10% of the other 2.
Yeah. So, man, so much we can say about this.
Well, how about this? The thing I found slightly interesting is that we have 16, 17, 17, 18. So to me, that implies that they want the point range of the game to get a little more consistent. Now, this could just be a random outlier by them only showing us the ones that have the middle point costs. But we've heard rumors that the goal is to get rid of 15 points entirely, and after they got rid of 14 points, that doesn't seem too far-fetched. It wouldn't surprise me if everything was 16, 17, or 18 from now on, but we'll see.
Yeah, we don't know if with this coming out, they're also going to, how many other crises they're going to take out of it, or if this is all of the crises that come in this box. Probably is, but we don't know.
Oh, you think this is the only 4 crises that come in the box?
I think
it says 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, it could be the
else?
other ones are reprints, though. Like, we don't know. These could be the only 4 new ones.
This is a true statement.
I would be really sad if that was the case. But I said a similar thing on Discord, but I didn't really flesh it out. I think the worst case scenario was this box was just reprint missions, and it's the same missions we currently have, just reprinted. So that's confirmed to not be the case, and that was the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, I think, was all new missions, which is not off the table yet. In
There's
fact,
only it has to be off the table.
Why is that?
Okay, wait. You mean that none of the old missions are viable going forward after March, or that these are just 10 new missions?
Correct. There are just exclusively new missions once this box drops.
I find that horribly unviable. 10 total missions to choose from, as opposed to the 22 that exist now. Like, that's going to be very derivative very quickly.
So you think that they're going to release a mission pack that doesn't have all of the missions in the game in it?
That
seems way less likely to me.
Wow.
So you think it's going to be 10 new missions in addition to the 10 or to the 22 old missions?
I think they're
going to rotate some of the old missions out.
Okay, but they wouldn't give you the new cards for those? That seems crazy to me. As like just an infrastructure logistics standpoint.
Well, they already
did. Print they made a mission isn't this
pack.
Like a $60 box? We're going to print a $60 box and not put all of the pieces of paper you need to play in it?
Yeah, because they already made it a long time ago. What do you mean? They already made a tarot-sized mission pack a long time ago. What do you mean?
Yeah, but if they're going to rotate stuff out of it, that box has been out of production for a while. And so, if you want the mission cards, how do you get them? If you're a new player that needs mission cards, what do you do?
You get them from the new core set, right? The new core set has them.
No, it has 3.
Yeah.
It has like the 2 missions that come with it.
Are they still PDFs you can get offline? I have never.
You could print them, but that's what I'm saying. If the logic train here is we're going to have 20-ish to 30 mission cards, we're printing a $60 new box set. We're putting 10 mission cards in that pack, and the other 10 you'll have to print offline. That's idiotic.
I still think that's plan A.
Really? If they do that, I would lose a lot of faith in the company if they did that, just from a logistics standpoint. That's so annoying for a new player. to walk into a store and go, okay, I want to play this game. It's like, cool. You literally have to go print these pieces of paper offline if you want to play the game.
That makes no sense. That is what
but
so many games do. That is what every minis games does.
No, you're not hearing me. Because if that's the entire structure, sure. But then also at the same time, you have to buy the $60 box set if you want to get these missions. That having both at the same time is idiotic. You're charging me a premium price tag for the new missions, but not giving me the missions that are legal.
That makes no sense. No, it's exactly the way every minis games work. If you want to play with cards that come in boxes, you buy the box that has the cards. Every minis games I've ever played that has cards, but that's my point.
They don't come in boxes. That's what I'm saying. You can't get those missions as a physical product.
So
where are
they're
you getting
cheaper?
Them? How are you buying them?
I don't see how this is a penalty to players.
I'm saying you can't do both, right? Like if they said, okay, Gladiator is only a 3D printable model, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't see this as a penalty to players is all is what I'm saying. Telling me that I can get all the missions in the game and I have to pay for a few, but the others I get for free, I only see that as not free, but free as a piece of paper. But I don't see that as a bad thing. I don't see that as a negative.
So just as an alternate reality, hypothetical, if they said we're updating the Tactics cards, we're releasing a box just like last time.
Yeah.
It's got 20 of the Tactics cards in it, but then there's like 20 more that aren't in the box that those are legal. Like that is weird and like obtuse as like a design space for creating physical products. Like why wouldn't you just put them all in there? That's crazy to me.
You're saying why didn't they just put the old or whatever ones they're planning on making legal post?
Right. If you're selling me a already premium price product, one model for $60 and some cardboard, why wouldn't you just put all of the legal missions in the box?
So you think Plan A is only these 10 missions will be legal?
I think it's either there's 10 new missions or there's only 10 missions. I think one of those has to be true. I think the odds of it being we're going to reprint some of the old missions, but not all of them, that's impossible. Like, that's just not going to happen. And so everything in the box either has to be all of the missions available or every mission in the box is a new mission. It wouldn't make sense to reprint 3 old missions, give you 7 new ones, and then have there be 5 old ones which are still legal.
I would bet crazy. A significant amount of money that the 10 missions are all new.
Okay, I think that's a good thing.
Okay,
well, but I still think they're going to incorporate some of the old ones and say they're still legal. I think that's fine. You just said they're stupid and moronic.
No, I'm saying that doing it to where some of the missions are getting reprinted and some of them aren't, but those are still legal would be ridiculous.
Wow. Okay, I had no idea that's what you were upset about. I thought you were upset about having 2 different locations to find the missions at all, and that I
think not physically printing them is dumb.
Sure, the fact that they're out of production and you can't get them is bizarre.
Right. Yeah. The fact that you're selling the whole point of this product from a commercial standpoint is a premium release. I'm selling you these large tarot-sized cards, nice, beautiful print on it in multiple languages. Like, how about just don't print 9 different fucking languages in it and just put all the goddamn missions in the box? Like, I get that you want to release it in multiple countries, and that's great. I love that it's available in multiple languages, but then you're going to force me to print to play the rest of it? Like, why print the box then? Why charge me $60 for a box to get new missions? Just put them all in there. The cardboard's not that expensive, or else they wouldn't be putting all the languages in the box.
Okay, so that's putting how it is that they logistically figure this out to bed for a second. Let's talk about Guardians Save Shi'ar Empress in style. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I think we all read this one because it's the one that we can read.
Yeah, this is the one we actually know what it is.
So it's basically a Bravo deployment from what I can tell. It's really fuzzy, but it looks just like a standard B.
No, I don't think that's Bravo. I think this is the same as I'm just blanking on the name.
Sword base.
It's sword base. It's
Bravo.
It's
a G?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think
this is not B. This is
you're right.
Base.
Yeah, I just can't read the numbers. I just assumed it was a B.
Yeah, this is the second G deployment.
Okay. I like the G deployment, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. It's also interacting.
It is a pay-to-flip.
Mm-hmm. Always a dice roll.
And you can reroll 1 if you have an extract token.
Mm-hmm.
I like that I actually kind of don't like that it says extract instead of like asset or civilian. Because there's a lot of characters that can generate their own tokens, like Chimichanga and stuff like that, where you could have something that's like basically a token. I guess most of those cards are rotated at this point.
Yeah, but also, sure, like if you're like
Weapon X is actively giving their opponent an advantage.
Yeah, because you give them the dossier token.
Yeah.
I just think that would have been a fun way to interact with the game because there's a lot of things that basically do that already. Anyway, overall, I like this. Like, pay to flips that are close together, I don't mind so much. Yeah, it seems fine. I'd be fine playing this mission. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it doesn't offend me in any way.
I love the G deployment. I think it's a really interesting deployment when multiple models can move once and twice and like flip over lots of things. I think it makes really dynamic, interesting, end of game turns. I don't like specifically, is it Lunar Base? Is that the one we already have?
Sword base.
Sword base. I specifically don't like sword base because it's always a coin flip and it punishes you for losing.
Yeah.
Right?
Missions that punish you for losing is so rough in this game.
So I don't like that aspect of sword base specifically, but I really love the sword base deployment. I think it's really fun. Mm-hmm. It's a really fun way to play.
Yeah, it causes a lot of activity while still being like reasonable. Well, sword base is also weird because it's all or nothing. Or did they change it now? It's still all or nothing, isn't it?
No, you get point for each one, but if you have a majority, you get to push somebody short.
You get to push, yeah.
Also, it's always a coin flip or nothing, right? It's just on 100%. So this one is
if it's uncontested, you get it, right?
Right.
That was the thing with sword base. We were all hoping they would apply that to all pay to flips, but.
This is interesting. Also notable that it says roll 3 dice. It's the very first one that gives 3 dice and not 1 dice. And it doesn't rely upon stats.
I think that might be a future thing going forward. Is there's not going to be any more use of defense because it makes it really hard to make models that have abnormal defenses because they get heavily penalized on scenarios. Like Vision, for example. I think Vision would be in the meta a little bit more than he is if he didn't have 2/2.
Go ahead, Aaron. What were you gonna say?
Nothing.
Oh, I heard you. I heard it.
Aaron, why don't you give us a rating for this mission?
I refuse.
Okay, I will give a rating for this mission of 5 pizza rolls out of 10. Parker,
I'm going to give this I'm going to give it a 7 because I really like this deployment. So yeah.
So I do like the deployment. Everything else about this mission, it just feels really uninspired. What if I told you this was a D? How would you feel about it?
Oh, I wouldn't like it at all because we already have like 3 different ways.
Well, it's just a D with like no secondary effect, basically.
Yeah,
which is I don't think a big deal.
Right. I really like this deployment. I put sword base in a lot of my lists now, specifically just because I want people to play on it more. I just want to see it happen more often. I really enjoy those games.
Yeah, I played a lot of Mirror Fist for that same reason. I just wanted people to play it. All right. So next up, we have scientific samples found in Discovered Universe. This is looks like a standard D for Delta.
Mm-hmm.
You get 1 victory point for each token you're holding. It's an extract mission, 17 points as well. You can only hold 1 sample token, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do we know what the effect is?
When a character holding a sample rolls dice, so for any effect, we do not know
the effect is resolved.
If it rolls contains 1 or more blank, so we're not sure if it's a skull or a crit or a wild, or a hit or a blank block, whatever it is. The character gains.
It appears to be some sort of scientific hubris effect.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a scientific hubris type effect.
And then during the cleanup phase, if all of this player's characters holding extract tokens are within 2 of a secure objective token, they gain 1 victory point. This one is interesting. I think this is going to be really advantageous for scenario teams based on what we're seeing. But it's interesting. And so it's really, it's going to make board control king because if you can displace a single model, then you're costing them multiple victory points, which is nice.
This will be the second D deployment for extracts after hammers. Is that right?
Yes, because there's normally not an even number of extracts, which is why I was also surprised to see the other extract is also a 4 asset. And so assuming that it's paranoia and hammers make it through, I believe that will give us, actually technically senators as well. We theoretically could have 5 even numbered extracts going in to the new meta. Which I would assume Senators is not making it because of the problematic issues with Senators.
Yeah, there's some interesting things about this one. If depending upon your secure matchup, you may not be able to pick up one of the samples and immediately be contesting a blue. So you might have to spend your entire turn moving twice. Like move one. You may not be able to, because if you have to move twice to pick one up, and there's not a blue there, then that's it.
Yeah,
like you don't get the extra point. So.
Well, you could have somebody like Lockjaw activate later, or Red Skull.
Right.
Somebody could potentially fix that, but that's where a synergy thing could come in.
Right. So there are ways to get around it, but I do like that the way it's written. If you just take a standard medium move small base character, and you don't also have a secure on D deployment, for example, you might just not get to do it. Like you just don't get to. So
even if it's like an Echo and and then the samples, it's just like basically impossible to pick up the side point. Yeah. But that would actually encourage you to not go pick up the side point, because you're getting the same number of points if you don't go get it.
Yes,
because you're getting the bonus point off the first sample.
Right, if you just pick up 1 point. Yeah. So you get 2 and your opponent gets 3. It creates some interesting stuff. Like it's not at face value, you might just go, oh, well, this is just X, Y, or Z. But
yeah, it's kind of like, it's almost like opposite paranoia. Like the less tokens you have, the easier it is to get the bonus point.
Yeah. I really like paranoia as an extract. I like the idea that I'm planning on getting 1 for each character, but I'm actually have a little side quest while I'm playing to try to get within 2 eventually by the end of the turn. And this creates a very similar situation where you're having a little side quest while you're playing. Like, yeah, keep the extract. Everybody should try that.
Yeah.
But then also try to get them all. It's funny. It's not just 1. Like paranoia is just 1, but this is all. So you have to work a little bit harder. I like it. I think
if they just replace paranoia with samples, I think I'd be okay with that. I actually love paranoia's mechanics. I just think it's too high scoring.
Yeah.
And so if it was first to 20, then I think I would play paranoia in a lot more games. But because it ends the game early so often, I just want to play more of the game, and so I don't want to do that. Aaron, what do you think of the mission that we know 90% of?
I again refuse to comment.
But we know everything about the first one.
Aaron, to be fair, because we, I don't know if everybody listens to the ramble that we do before. You're not commenting because you'd like to see the whole story, right? You'd like to see everything before you make a comment about any one part of it.
I think making comments and supposition and conjecture about an update that may include more than just these 10 cards is asinine. And I'm doing everything I can to not listen to you guys as you ramble incoherently.
Well, how about this? I think it's fair to have an opinion about things in a vacuum. And so, like, let's say, for example, Guardian Save Shi'ar Empress. I think it's fair to have an opinion about this mission as a standalone. But I think that people that have a reaction of, oh, the new mission pack is going to be X based on these 4 things, which you actually talked about a little bit in the pre-ramble, based on like people getting finding out something about like a movie or video game before it comes out and like having a reaction to that, where it's like you don't know what's going on yet. It's still early.
Right.
Like, yeah, I look at this and going, oh, the new mission pack is going to be this. And you're like, well, yeah, that's clearly an overreach. But looking at Guardians and going, I like the design of this mission, I think is fair.
You are not wrong. My refusal to engage is slightly hyperbolic, but I stand behind it.
Okay.
Yeah. I do think there was a lot of hyperbolic comments being made in the Discord channel, which I immediately stopped reading after I chimed in.
Yeah.
I think there are no fires to be set right now. Nothing needs to be burnt down. No temples need to be raised yet. I think the important thing to know is that fun to know.
Yeah. We're all on the same page that the new mission pack is terrible. And it's going to ruin the game.
Exactly.
We're all on the same page on that. Yeah.
I feel exactly the opposite way. I feel like I am excited to play some fresh games, even if it just feels marginally fresh. I am excited to try new things always. So I think
I have a question for you, Parker.
It'll be fun no matter what. What's that?
Give me a 1 to 10 rating on scientific samples.
I'm actually going to give this one a little higher rating of an 8. The reason why is because this one actually has some really cool like list building considerations. Like you have to consider not only the 10 you're bringing, but the the squad you actually put down to interact. And like you said, it's not just how do I make sure to safe extract off the midline. It's, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pick up one, and that's how I'm going to play this first turn. You're like, yeah, they're going to get 3, but I get 2, and I didn't have to put my guys on the midline. So that's a really cool, like, really interesting. When
depending
you're
on the
picking
mission,
your squad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Everything you just said, I agree with until you said the last part.
What?
So I absolutely love the mechanics built into this mission, and I wish it was literally any other deployment. The fact that it's a D on extracts, I hate so much because there's multiple grunt characters that can pick up both of those, and then that combined with the only thing I can think of when I read this is what happens when the Web Warriors player walks Gwen forward and drags your guy off a point and costs you 2 victory points, and it's just like, that's going to happen every single turn of the game. Is one model's going to spend 2 power and negate 2 of your victory points, and that just the theory of that behind it is scary to me.
Just one,
but
if you don't, well, yeah,
right, because then you're losing the bonus and you're losing the control of that point, right?
Yep.
And so, or like, but the interesting thing is it almost curves stealing a little bit, because if you're stealing my objective, you might be giving me the bonus point. And so there's a little bit of a take back there too. But I've never been a fan of extracts on Ds because of the fact that the grunt characters exist. Like Nick Fury Shield Agents, it's hard for a lot of lists to be able to deal with that first turn of the game, pick up 2 extracts. And it's like, it's so hard to deal with that unless you have a list specifically designed to deal with it. And I just don't like that interaction. And the fact that you could go up 3-1, potentially 4-1, depending on the blues in that game, for the rest of the game is just, it's so backbreaking.
Consider this. I'm trying to figure out, because again, we only have 90%, the 10% we're missing might have interaction with specifically grunts. Because it says you have to be, if all the players' characters, I'm guessing, are holding extract tokens, are within 2 of blank secure objective tokens. What is the word we're missing there? Do you have to be able to contest the secure objectives? Because specifically,
yeah, and it could be within range 2 of 1 secure objective. Like, it could be a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and so this one we're definitely taking on assumption. But like I said, I love the mechanics. That I'm not a fan of the deployment, so it's kind of the opposite of Guardians for me. I love the deployment. I hate the mechanics. And so I think I would still give this a higher. I think I agree with that. I give it a 6 out of 10. As again, we don't know the full text,
right?
But looking at where it's going, I'm very excited for that kind of design. But I'm just concerned about games I've had in the past and situations that could arise from that. Because Hammers is like the most love-hate mission I have in the game. I like the point total. I like the secondary effect. I just hate the fact that it's a D with extracts.
And see, I love the fact that it's a D with extracts because I can, as a player, like make sure I'm bringing characters that can play that kind of game. I love when I can make decisions before I start the game that are going to give me an advantage. So I've always liked Hammers for exactly that reason. So that you can bring your, I'm playing Ghost Rider in Red Skull 2 so that I can pick up both on turn 1. That sounds cool. Like, I'm doing that on purpose. I took a whole slot in my list to make sure this happens, and 5 points in my squad to make sure this happens.
Well, sure, but what if you just go second and they pick up both the midline ones?
No, because you're going. If they go, you still get it. No, you get 2. You get the one.
Not if they have Nick Fury.
Okay, well, so
that was what I was saying earlier. That's the interaction I don't like. My opponent won Prio and just put Nick Fury on the table, and now they have a 3-1 advantage for half the game.
But Nick Fury is in the midline. If I have some plan for where he deployed, if I just put something dangerous for Nick Fury opposite him, he has to just get shot in the face.
Potentially.
So what I'm saying is,
yeah,
there is a play that I appreciate with D extracts more than you do. That's all.
No, we just have a different opinion on that. Yeah. That's fine.
We don't know anything except point values for Deadlight of Destruction and Inhumans deploy advanced weaponry. We know the number of tokens, but we have no idea how much you can score. We don't know deployment.
Yeah, I would say the only thing we really know about the other ones is the number of tokens, really.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that's just a wild guess.
Yeah.
And so all 4 of these are 4 objective missions, which I think is interesting because it will more than likely really standardize the number of points scorable in a mission. Because previously we have anything from researcher to senators. And so getting between 2 points and 6 points is a fucking lot off of a single mission. These are almost exclusively all 4 points, except for one that could potentially get you 5. But getting 5 is incredibly hard because you have to have all 4 tokens and then accomplish a secondary ability. Mm-hmm. And so I like that the bonus point is difficult to get, because if you just compare it to Paranoia, it's almost assumed you're getting it every turn. Mm-hmm. This one is much less likely for that to happen.
If the rumor is true and we're going to have only 16 plus point values, I actually really like that. As a player that likes to play as 4-pointers, I'm tired of 15 points. I would like to play 4 4-pointers, please. That is the smallest I want to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think, obviously, they've seen a lot of Thanos builds at 15 over the years, and they want to try to discourage that. I don't know that will actually accomplish anything, because you're just upgrading a 3-pointer to a 4-pointer in that list. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
They could do a lot of stuff with this update. Like, they could change the maximum number of points. They could do all kinds of stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, there is unsubstantiated rumors of all kinds floating around about how many different things could be changing in middle of March. I have a quick question. Was middle of March always the plan, or was there a plan for January? I remember there was...
They just said first quarter, and everyone assumed that meant January.
Okay. So that was
all I've ever heard is first quarter. That's all I know.
So we know now the date.
It's in the past. There's usually been a January update of some kind, be it a model rebalancing or a release of some kind. And so I think a lot of people are just assuming January because there's a break after December anyway.
Right. That is the only part of the news that actually disappointed me a little bit, if I'm being honest, is that when I heard it was going to be March, I went, man, I am excited to have a monkey thrown in this wrench. I want my world to be turned upside down. I love when my world gets turned upside down in any game that I interact with. So having to wait till March is going to be it was deflating to know that I was waiting that long. But that is 100% just me being impatient and not like a realistic thing. Lots of people can wait that long, and by the time it happens, I will probably have forgotten I even said this. But I am sad that I have to wait till March. I want it to happen now, but that's just me being impatient.
So knowing what you know about Gladiator, how likely do you think he's going to be like a big splash model in the game? Like, I would imagine he's supposed to be kind of a big deal.
I mean, his power set is very similar to like a Superman, right? He's a very like Superman analog. So, like, I would be shocked if he was less than 6 points. I would be floored if he was less than 6. I would not.
Oh, so even 5 points you think is off
there? I would be. I think 5, unless they specifically really depower him because they want people to, unless they want him to be taken in more affiliations, right? They want him to be more accessible to more affiliations, so they bring him down to 5. But in terms of like what I expect them to do with him, I don't see him anything lower than 6. I think below 6 would be an absolute shocker. I think 6 is probably where I see him going. Is 6.
Kind of like Mighty Thor template, something like that. Or not Mighty Thor, Thor Hero of Midgard.
Yeah, Hero of Midgard, like power level, I think is appropriate.
Do Thor and Gladiator ever fight in the comics?
Oh, I'm sure it happened once.
At some point,
I don't remember. I don't remember ever seeing a panel where it happened.
So Thor is usually one of the big, like Thor showing up is usually a big deal in the comics.
Yeah, well, Gladiator was also a big deal, right? Sometimes he would just like show up in an X-Men comic and the fight was over because Gladiator's there. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, we're done fighting.
Yeah.
Gladiator's here. Yeah. I remember there's a lot of scenes where like Juggernaut gets completely owned because he thinks he's the big kid and he's the little kid.
Yeah. Gladiator interacts with a lot of cosmic titles. He interacts with X-Men a bunch. But he doesn't interact. You don't see him very much in like Avengers titles. He was famously in one right before the end of the last universe reset. But no, he doesn't interact with that very much. One of the things, kind of like the Superman with Kryptonite, they got to give him a weakness. The whole confidence thing is how you beat him, because he's seen as so impossibly unstoppable. You have to find some way to stop him. So he's very susceptible to like mental attacks, and anything that can affect his perceptions of the universe can mess with him really bad. But
yeah, I think in all of the animation I've ever seen him in, he never really interacts directly with Xavier, or at least they're never adversaries when they do interact. So I want to say he shows up in 97 as well, but they're like allies at the time. But like in the old show, Gladiator's in it a fair amount, and he never, like, Xavier's never there when he's there. And so it's just interesting. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Maybe,
because I know like him and Rogue go at it a bunch.
Yeah, that's a good, like, let's just fly and fight each other, punch each other in the face, punch.
And he always wins, and then she has to like try and absorb his power.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm just kind of looking back. It's surprising that Rogue wasn't a 5-pointer.
Yeah, they could have absolutely made her a 5-pointer, and nobody could have blinked at that, I think.
Because she was definitely like the powerhouse of the old X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's jump into predictions for the Legacy Vintage Open. That's what it stands for, right?
I think it's Las Vegas Open. It's based upon the city it's in, not the...
Agree to disagree.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Legacy Vintage Original. Fun fact, my roommate Alex is going to be in Vegas this weekend. Not for the Las Vegas Open.
Not doing that?
Not doing the Vegas Open.
Okay.
He got called away to work, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to Vegas. I'm like, interesting. Have fun. I guess you should... I told him he should stop by and say hi to you guys. Okay. So, what do you guys think is going to happen in ye old LVO? So Quentin is already qualified, right?
Yep.
He's already in the Invitational, so that's easy.
We know there's going to be a Web Warrior.
One Web Warrior. I told him if he doesn't win, I'm never going to talk to him again. So he's got a lot of pressure.
I don't think I don't think it's that much of a deterrent for him.
It's probably not.
Yeah. Aaron,
I don't think I ever addressed it on cast, but I declined my invitational ticket, so I will not be participating this year.
You're busy judging everyone.
I will be.
That's such a great line because it works on levels.
I'm excited for you in Judgment, though. I'll be rooting for you there.
Thank you.
Now I want to make. I love the affiliation discussion for LVO because I always feel like it's such a Wild West. We always have such hardcore opinions, and then it actually happens, and we're wildly off. So I'm really excited to.
I'm always dead on. I don't know what you're talking about.
We've been classically wildly off, and so I'm very excited to see. Who do you think, Brandon, is going to show up the most? Which affiliation do you think we'll see the most?
Oh, I mean, oh man, I'm so out of touch on the national meta right now. If I had to guess most popular affiliation, I'm gonna say Asgard, and I think that's wrong. But I think they're gonna. I don't know that they'll be the most popular. I think there'll be too many Asgardian players because I don't think they're very good. I think a lot of people think they are, but I'm probably wrong because there's more of them than me.
Aaron, who do you think is going to show up the most at LVO?
I think Avengers will take the #1 spot.
The classic choice.
Wait, yep.
You think they'll be the most populous or the most victorious? Okay.
I think Avengers will lose the final, but they will be the most populous choice.
Interesting.
It was funny how last year we all knew who the most popular was going to be, right? Everyone said Guardians, they're going to be the most popular.
Yeah. I'm going to go with. I think it might be Cabal.
Cabal strong.
I think there is a big presence out there, a big net deck out there that everybody is sure is strong, and I don't think anyone's done anything to bring that down. So
the Red Skull 2 or Red Skull 3 list is going to be there until something happens because it will just lottery machine people occasionally. So and it's a good list.
Yeah. So let's talk champions. Who do you think is going to be the champ, Brandon?
Web Warriors, obviously. but not Quentin. Are you asking person or?
Nope, affiliation. So
I'm going with Webbs.
Okay,
but not Quentin.
Okay, Aaron, do you think you have an idea who's taking it down?
I already said Avengers lose, and they lose to Cabal. It's a classic Cabal Avengers matchup.
That would be. I mean, narratively, that's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah, that's cute.
And it would just be Red Skull 3 punching Captain America into the oblivion. It'll be great. No MVPs for this Captain America.
I think the winner is going to be. You know what? I don't. Oftentimes, one of the things I love about this conversation, it also comes down to, are the top, 10 players there? Are 3 of them playing Inhumans? Then it's probably Inhumans, exactly. Right? So,
I'm going complete clean slate. I'm thinking about what affiliation I think could win in this environment.
I'm going to go with my same dark horse I always pick because they're always capable of it, and say Uncanny X-Men.
Oof. That's a big miss.
I would be shocked.
Yeah. You'd be shocked?
I would.
Would you be shocker level shocked?
Okay, I'm going with the $1.
If only Shocker could shock, I would be shocker level shocked. Then yes,
he does super shock. It's the aura of shock.
Well, then I'm going to go with the $1 20-1 bet because nobody thinks this is going to win. We're going to do it. Okay.
I will not take that bet.
No. Yeah, Parker, you're not allowed to bet. We talked.
No,
about
I lied. I will take that bet. Are we on? Are we on?
20-1.
Your $1 against my 20. X-Men don't win.
So I owe you $1.
It is a Vegas event.
Yes, you owe me $1, and if they do, I owe you 20.
I will spend $1 to lose. Yes, let's do it.
Okay, I'm actually kind of worried now because Aaron's bets with people locally usually doesn't go well.
For
he does very well against the book.
Yeah.
If he's betting against an institution, he does very well. Okay. If he's betting against a singular person, I've not seen it go well.
All right.
But he is betting against the black hole of Parker, which is not particularly great at betting either.
I'm breaking my one rule, which is betting at all. So
I'm going to figure out how to make you bet by the end of the day. It's not going to happen. I'm going to figure out a way.
I just did it. I just asked him. He said yes. Have you tried asking Parker if he wants to bet?
That's a Dumb and Dumber quote.
Yeah, I bet you're not. I bet you are.
I bet you I'll get you to bet today. He's like, no, you won't. It's like, I'll give you really good odds. He's like, 10-1, 21, 100-1. He's like, okay. And then they bet, and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's like fucking morons.
Okay.
How about this? Second choice for most populous, I would go with Defenders.
Okay.
I think it'll be. I was going to say Monsters, but no. Let's go Midnight Suns.
That's interesting.
I think the second most popular. I'm going to go also with Defenders. I think it's going to be.
Oh, I wasn't picking second most popular. I was picking second chance at most popular.
What?
I was saying if I had a second pick, like if I was drafting, my next pick would be Defenders.
Sure.
And
I don't know that it matters, right? Like, are we actually going to well, you got first, not second, doesn't count. Like,
if I get married again, my new wife would be X, but it doesn't fucking matter.
Your new wife would be your ex, same wife. Got it.
What? Yeah. Good. What? Last year, I felt like this was really obvious, but this year, I'm beginning to wonder what is the most popular character at LVO. It has to be Beta Ray Bill last year. But this year, who could it be?
If it was 3 months ago, I would have said Namor, but I don't think it's going to be.
I think it's going to be Thor 2.
Ooh,
interesting.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. Spicy fire.
I'm going to go with Shang-Chi.
Can't argue with that.
I'm going to go...
Okay. So I think the actual most popular is probably going to be like Toad or Black Cat, but I'm going for something fun.
I actually think I'm going to go with the Toad or Black Cat and say Baron Zemo.
You fucking piece of shit.
No, I'm going to say Baron Zemo.
Okay, good.
I think it's going to
be Baron Zemo's a fine pick. Yeah.
Because it'll cover your Cabal, like, non-Namors and your Namors.
You'll also get everyone who's picking Namor, yeah.
Okay, give me the over-under on Mephisto.
It's, 16 players?
64.
64, okay. 8.
Mephisto. Damn it, I was going to say 8.
Well, so pick 9 or 7. So
I'm going to take the under.
I think that's probably a safe bet. I think 7 or less Mephistos is probably a good pick. I think he is sleepy good.
I don't think he's sleepy good. I think people know about him.
Well, but he doesn't fit in the generic archetype of any of the lists we've talked about.
That's true.
And so that's the thing, is he's like a new meta type model. Like Shang-Chi, but he doesn't play in that list. He doesn't play in the Red Skull 3 list.
Oh,
he's not there with Zemo and Thanos and those guys. It's a different archetype, right? And so, but because he's so off meta, it's weird. Like Shang-Chi, you could staple gun to any fucking list and it's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter. But he's just so different that I don't know. Like, I think actually Mephisto might be really good in like an Inhumans list.
So the number of Mephistos, Brandon says 8.
No, I set the number, and so he picked under 8. So Aaron's picking under 8.
See, Brandon knows how to bet.
Yeah,
I don't. That's why
I'm setting the betting line in which, so like I'm dividing the C, and you have to pick a side.
Got it.
Parker, are you going to take the over?
No, because it's
strong.
Going to be under.
Quentin's record.
1 in 5.
Ouch.
How many rounds is it?
I'm going to take the over, and I'll lay any amount of money you want.
Ooh. Well, he's going to go 0-1 drop. You're like, no! Wait, it's single limb, right? Or is it go to Swiss after?
Yeah, go to Swiss after.
Okay.
You can submarine, yeah.
I think he's going to go 5-1. But I think he has a shot.
Well.
I think he has a shot. I think he's got a huge advantage of nobody fucking plays webs. But at the same time, because nobody plays webs, like, they're not playing stuff that is good against him. So I think he's got, like, that small advantage. But his list is weird. It's not what I would play, which is fine. But he plays, like, very meta models in his webs, which I disagree with, because I think it gives you the accidental meta coverage, where it's like, he's playing the same shit everybody else is playing, just playing it in webs. Like, he's playing, like, Zemo and Bill and Shang-Chi. It's like, well, they're all prepared for those models. Like, they've got counters that can be put into their list already for that stuff. And so I disagree with his philosophy, but I understand the reasoning behind it, because those models are fucking amazing. But, okay.
We usually do Tactics card.
I was just thinking about that. I think it's still going to be Brace.
It will 1,000% be Brace.
Yeah, so let's do non-restricted card.
Ooh, I like that.
Mission objective.
If only.
God. Joint effort. I'm going with joint effort.
I'm going to go with survival.
Survival's a good one.
Survival is the correct answer.
Yeah. Unless a lot of people just don't own Apocalypse.
They're all canceling the
Is it print to play?
No one cares.
Yeah, but I mean, there has to be an
officially, probably not. But
yeah, I would say because it's actually like an AMG event this year, right? Aren't they going to be there?
I don't think so. They might be there, but
I thought it was a GT.
No. The GT is running concurrently to this, but it's separate.
Okay. Then yeah, Survival's probably the right pick.
Ooh, I've got one I want to know. What is the least taken character?
Sentinel Mark.
There will be multiple.
Oh, that is represented? Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That is taken. Yeah.
That is taken. Give me one. You only see one.
Lockjaw.
Solo.
Lockjaw's a good pick.
I know. That's why. I'm sorry. Are we trying to lose this? I could try to lose this if you want me to.
I'm complimenting you.
I'd like you to lose it. I want
your
$20.
Dumbass.
It's just like you guys are surprised. Ooh,
I can't
Aaron came up with a good pick.
I can't believe Parker bet $1 on every one of these. Can you, Aaron? That's nuts.
I didn't do that.
That's not what I
Let's
heard.
Go to the videotape. I'm pretty sure.
I'll play the audio for you after I edit it. Man, this is a good question. What's the model that everyone's gonna have in a really specific list?
No. Which one is only going to be one of?
I know. So I'm trying to think of... Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, right.
You're so wrong. I'm not even writing.
You think
that
there's
down.
going to be a lot?
I'm not even gracing that with the type.
I don't think a lot of people are bringing him.
Oh my god, you are
you're
wrong.
Really? You think so? I guess we'll see.
Way out to lunch.
I think a lot of people are not going to have him in their list. Is he like a popular build in Asgard right now? Because I've not seen anyone taking him.
I want to say he'll still be in Asgard, and he's still going to be in Hellfire. He's still going to be in at least Quentin's webs.
I know he's in Quentin's webs. That's why I picked him.
Okay.
I know there's because if you pick one that is a 0, you automatically lose. And so if I'm on the list and you guys get zeroed, I'm good.
That is not how this works.
Yeah, it is. What do you mean?
This is an all or nothing. Get it right or fail.
What do you mean? That's not. You said least taken. So if I'm the only one that has someone on the list, I win, don't I?
No, solo artist is what I said. Like if there's
so it specifically has to be somebody who's only shows up once?
Yeah, that because we said 0 doesn't make any sense. Because there's going to be so many zeros.
No, yeah, I said. So I thought what I said, and you guys said yes, was so like closest without going under, right? Like it has to be taken, but then the fewest taken wins. So you're saying you only win if you pick somebody who's represented one time in the tournament.
That was the question, yeah. Can you think of somebody that's only going to take it once?
Well, then we're all going to lose, so it doesn't matter. Okay.
No, the point.
I already won.
The point is
now
to take the
now you're trying to tie.
I don't think Lockjack's going to get taken once. I think he'll get taken thrice. And I am betting,
let's lay some more money, Parker.
I'm betting no money on that. That's what I just said.
Oh, man, I'm gonna walk out of here with $2 and so rich.
Dr. Voodoo.
I'm going to say one person is going to play.
Damn, Octu.
This is hard. I'm going to say, man, this is hard.
You said that multiple times,
but it is. That's why I said it.
I'm
going to go. You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Hulkbuster.
That was on my list of picks too. I just think there's a really good chance he gets zeroed.
It's possible.
If it was just a regular event, I would say 100% someone will bring him, just because he's a fun model. But in an invitational setting, I think a lot of people will cut him.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick who's only going once.
Are you locked in?
I'm going to go with Hulkbuster and see how that goes.
I said Octu could have been a good pick.
Yeah.
Other ones on my short list was like Black Widow, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe, but she might get zeroed. Iron Fist. OG Doc Strange. OG Doc Strange might just take it once.
Nope.
Yeah, I think he's one that doesn't get played enough. If Convocation doesn't play him. Defenders, they're just not going to take him, I think. Yeah, anyway. Do we want to do missions? Most played mission?
I'm less excited, but we can do it.
Yeah, I'm less excited for missions as well.
Okay, skip it.
I did like the non... oh, no, we already did that one. Never mind.
Highest win percentage affiliation? Because you get high win percentage, not win.
Can we...
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that math?
Legion of the Lost.
Highest win percentage affiliation.
How will you calculate this? Is this something that
it's a breakdown? There's just a
it's one of the things you could do
for the event. Yeah.
Okay. So highest win percentage.
Because when you do your reporting, you report what affiliation you played. Now there could be some errors, but we're betting what the result is, not what actually happened.
Mm-hmm. So Aaron thinks it'll be
Legion of the Lost,
which is the
Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
Why
would anyone play that?
They'll play it because they have Mephisto on their list last round of the game or something. That's what he's saying, right?
I think some people will come dual affiliated with the playing Mephisto in the matchup that they want to play it in, and it'll work out for him, and they'll go 2-0 or 3-0 with Mephisto, and he will end up with an extremely high win rate because of it.
I'm gonna go Webs again.
There'll be a low number of players, and
Aaron's not wrong picking the Dark Horse affiliations because the people that bring them to big events usually do well with them. Even if they don't win, they get above 500. And when you're doing a really small sample size, above 500 means a 60% win rate.
That's what I did with A-Force when I went to LVO.
It was Winter Guard one time, I think, had like an 85% win rate or something because they only lost one game. It was just like, oh my god. Skewed the numbers so hard.
I'm going to go with Guardians.
Not bad. The issue with picking any populist faction is that obviously you'll just be brought down by
that's what I'm saying. I think there are going to be very few Guardians.
You think there won't be that many, Yeah. I think we're only going to have 3 Webs players.
With that. So with few Webs players and Quentin being one of them, they should probably have a pretty good win rate.
Yeah. But there is also a ceiling, I think. I don't think Webs will go 80%. If you do Winter Guard and somebody actually plays 2 games with Winter Guard, you're like, oh fuck. They could easily win both those and you have a 100% win rate. Alrighty. Do we have any other cool LVO stuff we want to do?
No.
No.
Nope. Good
All
luck
right.
to Quentin, I would say. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Good luck, Quentin. Good luck, Aaron.
And Austin? Or Skylar,
And Austin.
sorry.
Yeah, Skylar's going.
Yeah.
Skylar.
Also, really good luck to Jeremy.
Well, I was saying good luck to everyone going, because just because you guys aren't playing MCP doesn't mean Aaron's not going.
Yeah.
Are you taking your MCP stuff at all?
Nope.
Okay. Judgment all weekend.
Yep.
I really love the odds of Quentin playing in the LVO Judgment Invitational and then getting paired into you in the first round would be fucking awesome. It's like,
he disagreed with you?
Yeah, I know. That's why it was awesome. All right, cool. Well, that will wrap it up for us today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you're as excited for new MCP stuff as we are. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you just listened to The Gang Goes to the Legacy Vintage Original.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We are back. Back again.
Guess who's back? Tell a friend.
Tell your friends. All right. There was all kinds of fun stuff happened this week.
Yeah. And then a bunch of fun stuff's going to happen the rest of this week.
I was not privy to any of it, but I'm sure there was.
Oh no, it was super fun.
So I was playing the game Days Gone. I was watching a video somebody made of like their playthrough, and at the end of their video they use a flamethrower. I didn't know there was a flamethrower in the game, and I've already beaten it. So now I feel robbed that I didn't get to play through the game with a flamethrower.
Pretty
So
sure
now-
you still can.
Oh yeah, no. So now they have New Game Plus mode, and so you basically start the game over with all of your achievements, and so all the guns you've unlocked, all the talents and everything, and you just restart the storyline from the beginning, and you rediscover the world with your advancements, right? And so I just started that today. It's actually kind of annoying, or at least I found it annoying, and it's supposed to be because you're supposed to build up, but you start with like the guns you start with are so terrible that it's hard to understand how you're supposed to fight large numbers of enemies. But because they don't really explain, it's like, oh, hey, there's this pistol you start with. That's your sidearm. They don't even tell you can trade it out at the beginning of the game. Like, you have to just figure that out. And so it only has like 8-round magazine, and you have to put like 6 rounds into a zombie to kill it. And you can only carry like 3 magazines worth of ammo. And so it's like, this is impossible. Like, even if you do headshots on everybody. And I was like, and so later in the game, your gun does 3 times as much damage, has double the clip capacity. And so it's like, all of a sudden, like, okay, well, this is very doable. Not to mention, you can just replace your regular, like, pistol with a sawed-off shotgun. And so now you're one-shotting the zombies, and then you can upgrade the magazine size so it holds like 8 rounds. And so it's like, oh, well, now I have like 24 shotgun rounds that one-shot zombies. It's a completely different experience. Also, you unlock bullet time later in the game through this focus mechanic. And you don't have that at the beginning of the game. So it's just like, okay, well, I understand now why I was struggling so hard. So, yeah. And so going back through, you can just crank up the difficulty and fight lots of enemies.
Right before this, I was playing some Marvel Rivals. And I got a distinction I've never had in Marvel Rivals because recently, as I've been playing, I kind of went on a dearth of MVPs where you're the most valuable player. I was doing well and I was winning a lot, like as a team, but not getting the MVP. But then right before this podcast, I got 3 MVPs in a row. 2 is Captain America and 1 is Scarlet Witch. And man, a Captain America MVP is few and far between, and it feels awesome. Because
it seems like some characters are almost like built to achieve MVP. They just have like a good combination of skills to get all of like the matrix filled out.
Right.
And so it's like get lots of assists, do lots of damage, prevent a lot of damage. Like it's a pretty simple formula, but like you're not going to get that as, like, I don't know, Jeff very often. Like, you're just, like, you'll do a lot of healing, but the most healing is usually not going to win. You have to do other stuff too.
Yeah. My supposition that I made last cast that I would continue to enjoy Iron Man is true. Not Iron Man, Captain America, because it is so much fun doinking people with shields. It's just a blast. That sound.
I'm glad you enjoyed doinking.
Just boink, doink, doink, doink. Just that sound, that wonderful, like splang, bang sound. Oh, it feels so good.
I think sound, like noise effects in game, is really underrated for like how satisfying it can be.
Oh yeah,
because there's definitely games that I've played where it's like I realize the only reason I'm playing this game is I like sound effects. Like Left 4 Dead used to be that way. I just like shooting the zombies. Like it's just fun. I think that's why most people play first person shooters. They just enjoy the sounds that the guns make.
Yeah,
it's just so crisp and clean.
It's satisfying. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I don't like playing Venom in this game, because all his sounds are super gross.
Like whip, squish,
yeah,
squat. Like oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm stepping on leeches.
Yeah. Aaron, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Since I can now be a Path of Exile boy because I got all my new fans in my computer and I can finally play it. What is a shadow, which is the thing that they're talking about is going to be released in the next update? Is that a class or an ascendancy, or is that like
I
the
haven't
effect
even
shadow?
heard that, so you are providing information to me now live.
Oh,
where does one go?
Well, didn't they have the patch notes?
News to me.
Yeah, the patch notes.
No, there are no patch notes for .1.1 yet.
Oh, I thought we already had them.
Fake news.
Oh, so yep, this is fake news. Somebody
RealFakeNews.com.
Somebody sold me a bill. Okay. Never mind then.
Shadow sounds like it might be a new class coming out.
Okay.
But cannot confirm.
Was that ever mentioned that they were going to trickle out like one class at a time?
Nope.
Or was it they've never confirmed or denied that was the idea? This is all just supposition.
Correct. There's lots of supposition about how they're going to release the remaining parts of the campaign and then the remaining characters and the ascendancies for current characters. Yep. Lots of question marks from the community, which is fine. They don't need to. And if I was them, I would not divulge a plan because that means you have to stick to it, right? Then people get to critique you when you change your mind or whatnot. So just tell everyone it's early access. We'll come out with stuff as soon as we can in the way that makes the most sense based off of the gameplay loop that we're seeing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the one thing I've appreciated about Blizzard is they'll tell you like what projects are in development, but they don't stress out about putting out release dates or trying to keep up with stuff. They're like, it's done when it's done, guys. Like, we're trying to make a product, not rush something out. And so,
yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they always hit the mark, but I appreciate the way they go about it.
Yep.
Where they're just like, hey guys, this is in development. We are about 30% done. That's about all they tell you.
I haven't heard anyone complaining, about PoE. So they're questioning because they'd like to know, but it's no skin off their back that they don't.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff to do right now. I can't remember the last time I was like really, really excited for something to come out. Like the age we live in, there's so much stuff to do with like your expendable time, even just as like gamers. Like there's so many ways to spend your time versus like pre-internet and all that. Like it's like you were like waiting for the next big movie usually because there wasn't Netflix where you just sit down and watch whatever you want. And so it's just surprising to me now that people freak out about release dates. I'm like, do you really not have, like, go to your Steam account and tell me how many games you have not played. Like, relax. There's plenty of shit for you to do. Well, go paint your bottles.
The anticipation is in itself a kind of entertainment, right? Like that's
I think it used to be
staring at the clock counting down, right? That's the thing. Like that's the thing that I did when I was younger, just for using my freaking microwave, right? I would watch it tick down rather than.
But remember, like when you were a kid and like you wouldn't find out about stuff, and maybe this was just an age gap and not a like actual information problem. But like it felt like we didn't know that movies were coming out until like 3 or 4 months before they were released. Like, there's so much more, like, inside information that gets out now due to the internet, and, like, websites and, like, people that follow this stuff. Like, back in the day, it was like, oh, did you read the newspaper? They're making a new movie. It'll be out in 2 months. And you're like, okay. Or you would see a trailer at a movie you already went to. Now it's like, oh, by the way, this is in pre-production. It'll be out in, let me check my notes, 29 months. And you're like, Jesus, like, we don't need to know that far in advance. God damn it.
Well, and this is one of the reasons why I totally respect things like Path of Exile, never saying, never confirming nor denying anything, because they don't want to get caught in the transparency trap. Because, like, a movie studio, if you want to make a movie, you're planning years in advance, because not only do you have to make the movie, but you also have to make all the merchandise. In order to make the merchandise, you have to have the actors' faces in the roles, in the costumes, to China or India, or whatever it is they're going to print the t-shirts, or make the lunch boxes, or make the action figures, or the Legos. And so everything comes out at exactly the same time, and that stuff takes as long as a movie to make sometimes, if you're talking about distributing across the country. So they have to cast and have the characters in makeup so long before the movie comes out. And because all that shit is so heavily policed and monitored by constituents, right? Like shareholders and stockholders and stakeholders, somebody knows, and it gets out on the internet. So you can spoil almost everything, like you said, years and years in advance, because the industry takes that long to coordinate all that stuff together.
No, sure. It's just that the race to get that information out seems rabid at this point, and it didn't feel that way back in the day.
No.
Like telling somebody, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Iron Man, that was a big deal, but we only found out like a few months before the movie came out. Like, they announced RDJ as Doom now, and when's that movie going to be out? Like, sometime next year? And so it's just, like, it's hard. It just seems like we get way too much information. And so for me, personally, it kills the desire for the thing. When it's like, I just get, waiting fatigue, where it's just like, I just don't care anymore. Like, I've been waiting for X to come out for, 14 months. Like, I just don't care anymore.
By far, what frustrates me the most is people that make a decision based upon what they're going to do about a finished product months ahead of time because of this transparency. Like, I have a friend that won't play a video game if in some span of the 18 months before the game comes out, there's a drama behind the scenes.
Sure. Like, say, for example, the open beta comes out and they go, oh, this mechanic doesn't work well. And they just go, I'm done with this game. You're like, it's in beta. Like, they've
closed
even addressed that
like,
they don't like how it works.
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
could be a closed beta.
You don't public.
Right. Or they find out that during the production, somebody was fired because they are having an illicit relationship with a young woman. Like, that is enough for him to not play a video game. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Because
like
some random person associated with some commercial enterprise is a dipshit and a piece of crap.
Yes.
But, like, sure, I understand you hating that person.
Yeah.
And agreeing that they should be punished. But, like they were instantly fired and disassociated with the project, and you hate the video game now. It's like, come on. Like, that guy probably had no functional effect on the game anyway. Like, it's so weird.
I'm being facetious for my friend, but it really is true that he can't... The transparency of
it's like it pierces the veil and it just ruins it for him.
It ruins for him. He would enjoy so much more content in books and film and video games and all kinds of consumable media. He would be so much nicer if Reddit didn't exist, because then he couldn't read the backstory of every fucking person in the world who makes anything that he cares about. And it blows my... I've told him when he gets really mad at me, he got really mad at me for playing Marvel Rivals. And he told me, he's like, well, the company that owned Marvel Rivals, once outsourced something. He started to tell me something about some random thing that he thinks is negative. And I went, shut up. Don't read. And he goes, what are you talking about? Don't read. Forget you could read. Don't do it.
Well,
why are you ruining all these things for yourself and others? It doesn't make any sense.
I totally agree with that. And the thing that drives me absolutely insane is the whole justification for why they get so irrationally angry at that stuff is because they found out that this person involved with X is a bad person. It's like, the problem there is you've started from the assumption that all these people that were faceless before were good people. And I've met enough people in my life to know that the percentage of good people versus the percentage of bad people, and I understand statistics, like everything has bad people involved with it, just as a flat line. And so they're like blown away at this revelation. It's like that this random rich person in Hollywood is a bad guy. And you're like, no shit. Like, how did you think they got there? Like,
the whole world is a bed of nails. Like, the whole world is. Like, you can't. There's not a place you can walk that's not already sharp. That's one argument, and I agree with you. The other argument is just, why burden yourself with this particular kind of knowledge?
Exactly. They're mainlining the thing that upsets them directly to their veins.
Exactly.
Like, stop.
They're giving it energy, right? Mm-hmm. They're depriving themselves of something that could otherwise bring them joy because they perceive it to be unjust in some way. And I'm like, I don't. Like, if you told me that, somebody was, actively disrupting the justice of somebody else, I would say, okay, am I part of this? Like, am I party to it? And they go, no, but you're utilizing a product associated with that entity. I would go, what? that would be like me swearing off. That would be like me saying I couldn't eat leafy greens because somebody smokes tobacco. Like, I get that they're so differently related. They don't have anything to do with each other. They're in the same family, kind of, in nature. That doesn't make any sense.
I have an interesting question for you. So I think I've told you this in the past, but it's been so long you've probably forgotten. Do you remember the football song? It's called Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. And it's like, na, 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 hey. And it's that song. Yes, that song. So he got in a lot of trouble. I don't know the specifics, but I believe it was like diddling kind of stuff. Like, not good stuff. Like, real bad stuff. He got immediately canceled and put up on trial. And I believe he went to jail for a long time. But for a long time, no one would play that song. Because the logic was, well, you can't play the song. It's like Michael Jackson. It's like the music's semi-taboo, but not really. And so they stopped using it. It used to be the Chiefs' touchdown song. So they stopped using it, right? Do you think that makes sense? Like, should they stop using it because they're propping up this bad person?
I think it's different.
When it's like a solo person was responsible for this
I think it's different
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's different when a performer is the one... Because they put themselves up on the public stage and they said, look, I am a role model, right? Look at me, sing like me, act like me, whatever, right? Like, pattern yourself off me. Like, that's part of the social interaction.
Yeah. So a lot of the
time...
that
is different than the nameless producer of video game. Exactly. Like, that's
random figurehead that had no actual impact.
Yeah.
So for this particular case, everyone usually says, well, yeah, you're giving that guy money because he owns the song. Well, funnily enough, I believe during the defense of himself, he had to sell the rights to his music to afford his defense. So he actually doesn't make money off the music anymore. Yeah. So there's this weird logic trap where it's like, well, I'm promoting this guy, but everybody knows he's a piece of shit, and nobody likes him. So he's also never going to make music again. So like, no one, like, it's just this weird circle of like, is it okay? Is it bad? Is it good? And it's just weird.
I have one of my favorite people to talk about any of this stuff is John Oliver has a whole episode on public shaming, which is this idea that we're talking about. And he said, on the one hand, it can ruin people's lives in an incredibly terrible, disproportionate way, right? And this is like my friend he's talking about, like not being willing to buy a video game because it's related to X, Y, or Z, for example. But on the other hand, it can do some amazing things for people who absolutely should be paid attention to, right? Like, if you find out that a publicly elected official has been embezzling funds and that becomes shamed on the internet, well, that makes perfect fucking sense, right? Like, that people should know.
Abuse of power.
Yeah, people should know that he's specifically using his position to disrupt the public good. So it's like, there is two sides to this coin. The whole episode was about, like, can we have one without the other? Is it possible that we could, not throw every baby out with every bathwater? It's hard. It's hard to do.
Well, again, what you're saying there, when it comes down to an individual, it's so different than if it's like a small part of a group or a corporation,
right?
Where it's like, was it just this one guy? Was it the culture there? It's just all messed up. The wokeness is rough sometimes because it steals so much joy that you would have had through blindness, but at the same time you want to be informed.
One of his like key data points that he talked about is they did this study of Monica Lewinsky, because a lot of people consider her to be one of the very first like caught in crossfire, like a regular person who was absolutely not the person who abused their power, right? Like she should not have been publicly shamed for doing this. This is not the situation she was in, and yet she caught an enormous amount of negative attention for the dalliance with Bill Clinton, and so they talked about how like this is a really interesting example of this kind of public shaming, and what she did to earn it, quote unquote, is really, really interesting. But she ended up becoming this international celebrity, right? But she wasn't when it happened, right? She was.
I mean, what is it? 30 years later, almost now.
Yeah, people still know her name. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that happened when I was literally a child. I know who she is.
Yes. Yeah. But that kind of,
and of all things for a child to know about, like that's the stupidest thing.
Exactly.
Like, how did we fucking infuse that knowledge to every child on the planet?
Yeah. Yeah. It was. He references a lot of how now, like what she does, that's what she's turned her life into, is just talking about public shaming. Like that is what her career is now. Is she is a consultant and a public speaker for this concept of like public shaming and the pros and cons, right? It's really interesting. Man, we really went down a rabbit hole there. This is a interesting podcast stuff. Interesting.
Yeah, we should start a political podcast. That would be great.
We should not do that.
We should definitely not. I was kidding. That's definitely should not happen.
So, by the way, I thought I laughed a lot whenever this came up on the last podcast, but I re-listened to our last podcast, and when we mentioned journalism, I laughed so hard again. I was in my car just belly laughing, thinking about this being journalism. For that reason, we also shouldn't engage in a lot of political discourse. Except Aaron. I would like to know all of Aaron's political opinions, because I'm sure that
starting right now.
I'm sure there will be brief and to the point. I don't think he's willing to elucidate. And so
I almost went poli-sci major. I have a lot of opinions.
Really? I did not know that. I feel like part of this podcast is a discussion about like the modern day minutia and some MCP, and it's just also just Aaron's life history. I feel like I do.
There's definitely just after dark stream of consciousness, and then there's a little bit of Marvel talk.
Aaron, I want you to know. I want to give you a compliment, and I made a mental note to make sure I brought this to the podcast.
Okay.
Did you know that you represent something really important to me in my life?
Oh fuck! Is it sexiness?
Father,
it's sexiness,
he
isn't
never
it?
had.
This is something that's really important to me, and this is a compliment. It's 100% a compliment.
That's how you know when they preface it with "this is positive." By the way,
I was listening.
Go ahead.
As I was listening to the last podcast, you when you talked about how many hours you'd played Path of Exile, and the number blew me away at the time, and it still does. I immediately thought of, when I was listening, not in that moment when you shared it, but as I was re-listening, I immediately thought of my father. And my father, also a military man, spent a lot of time in the military. And if you told him that there was a career military officer who spent 200 plus hours playing a video game in the past 45 days, he would not believe you. He would think he would think that it is impossible for that to happen. No way does a retired officer from any branch of the military do that. And the reason why I love you for this is because I try to tell him all the time, open your mind, man. Just like, there is more things than you think there are. Like, I try to tell him all the time, and I plead with him because I love him. I'm like, you taught me that everything is propaganda, to keep your mind wide open, keep your eyes wide open. Everybody's trying to sell you something. As you've gotten older, your views have become narrower and narrower and narrower. You are now a walking cautionary tale. And I haven't told him about you yet. But I knew if I did, he would call me a liar. He could not believe there's a universe that you exist in.
And you should just send him the link to Aaron's Twitch stream.
And so I just want you to know that when I realized this, when I was listening to the cast again, it made me smile, like just beam with smile. I was like, I am so happy that the stereotypes that people believe exist are not real. That in fact people could love anything and do anything with their time. They don't have to be X, Y, or Z because of their previous life experience or what the society thinks they should be like. Namely, my father and his hyper traditionalist ideas. I love that you're a full-grown man that does whatever the hell he wants, and it's playing Path of Exile. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, Parker, I'm never going to change.
And see, what's funny is that that is an anachronism to him. Like the thought that you've always been this way, like it would blow his fucking mind. I love it.
All right, this is where I attempt to make the rest of the podcast just Chiefs playoff talk. This is your chance to stop me.
I'll add this to the Chiefs playoffs talk. I am not going to the Chiefs playoff game. You can.
You freaking loser.
I really appreciate the offer. It is incredibly kind. I cannot go.
Aaron, you want to cancel your LBO trip and go to a football game on Saturday?
Oh, let me debate.
I'll give you a few minutes. I know
okay.
it's hard.
I watched all the playoff games this previous weekend. Did you?
I watched parts of most of them. Most of them were terrible, honestly.
No,
I can't
they weren't great
believe.
games.
I think the best game by far was the Chargers-Texans game because it was the most entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Because that game was insane.
No, I actually enjoyed the Washington game, but I like watching Washington. I thought Washington game was pretty fun to watch.
It was probably the second best because the Bills game was garbage.
The
Vikings game was garbage.
Yes.
Like,
well,
if you like laughing at people,
that's literally
the Steelers game was
that's
terrible.
Exactly what I was going to say. I was like, the Vikings game was a little fun if you're like pointing and laughing.
Right. So, like, if you're a fan of one of those teams, 100% it's a great game to watch because watching your team excel in the playoffs is great. But as a non-interested party looking to watch a good football game, there was zero product to be found. Because even the Chargers-Texans game, which was one of the closer ones, was just a comedy of errors on both sides. So I just like, what the fuck, guys?
That's why I like the Commanders game, is I felt like both teams were fairly locked in.
Yeah, I felt like the Bucks were just not ready to play, it looked like.
Yeah.
Like, Baker was trying, but they were just outmatched.
Right. I also I have, over the course of this season, very early on, I think I told you this, that I just enjoy the Commanders. I like what they're doing. I think it's fun. And so I'm actually really excited for the Commanders-Lions game. I think they will get demolished. I think my Commanders will lose, but I am really looking forward to it anyway because I think they will fight. I do not think they will lay down. I think they are totally mismatched with the Lions, but I think...
Sorry, was it which team? Lions and who?
The Lions and the Commanders game.
Oh, because you're a Jaden guy.
Yeah. And so I do not think they'll lay down. I don't think they will be rolled. I don't think they'll get rolled. I think they'll fight really hard. I don't think they can win, but
it just occurred to me randomly, and I don't know why I was thinking of this, but when I was looking at the playoff games over the weekend, I was like, how many times have the Lions and the Rams made the playoffs in the same year? I just, looking back through history, like the Lions haven't made the playoffs that many times.
No.
And then the Rams have had good runs, but I don't think any of them lined up with the Lions. And the last 2 years, they've both made the playoffs.
This is the second time ever the Lions and Rams will be meeting in the postseason, but I don't know how many times they've ever been.
Well, that's because they played last year. And so I'm sure it's happened. It's just, I think it's probably a really low number. There are times they've made the playoffs together, and then the Rams and the Lions didn't play each other this year, or haven't yet.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is an old...
That's probably last year.
Yeah, this is last year's. Yeah.
Also,
I'm not a giant fan of the Rams football team. Not in general principle. I just don't find them really exciting to watch. I don't think they're weak.
And then for the longest time, they were like semi-competitors for like fandom because they were St. Louis and Kansas City.
Yeah.
They're really close. They were the closest NFL team to us for a really long time. But looking back in history, like the AFC West was one of had I think the strongest home crowd factor of all of the divisions in football, because originally we had the Seahawks were in our division as well, which is the third loudest stadium in the NFL, and so we had two of the top three loudest stadiums, and then we also have Mile High, which was obviously big home field advantage because it's altitude issue. Then you had the Raiders in Oakland, where they were imposing because the fans were crazy. It was hooligan level insanity, and so going in, and it was like Philly, where they're just screaming everything they can think of at you. So it's very off putting, from offensiveness. And then we also had obviously the Chiefs, which has the loudest stadium, and it also gets fucking cold. And so all of that, we went, I think it was 10 years in the 90s. The Chiefs didn't lose a home game in December or January. It was just crazy the level of dominance we have in the cold and Arrowhead. But then the other team is the San Diego Chargers, who's just don't have a home crowd really that strong. Then they moved to LA, and now literally they're outnumbered at every game they have. They never have a majority crowd ever, which is insane. They could be playing the New York Jets, and the Jets will overpower the Chargers fans.
Yeah,
it's what? It's just so crazy. And so it's just always fun to have the odd duck but now the Raiders have moved to Vegas, so it's not as bad as the Chargers, but they're a transplant team, so they don't have a strong fan base yet. It's almost all tourists that go to their games. There's a handful of fans though, and some of them even make the drive. And then the Chargers moved to LA; they just don't have a fan base. The Seahawks left the division, and so it's really just Denver, and Denver's ever since Peyton has been pretty bad.
Yeah,
and so. It's just weird.
There's one playoff game that I think a lot of people are really excited to watch, and I have zero interest. Somebody can tell me who won at the end.
Really? Is it the obvious one?
It's Ravens-Bills.
Really? You're not interested to watch that at all?
And the reason why is I am interested to know who wins. but
don't worry, you'll find out pretty quick.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I have this weird feeling that one of them, and I think it's the Ravens, I think they're going to fold hard. I don't think it's going to
really.
I have a feeling that one of those two teams, and I think it's the Ravens, are going to crumble like a paper bag. And this is just a feeling. It has nothing to do with data.
Back to my hunch.
Yeah, it's 100%. I just have this weird feeling.
Did you watch the meeting of the Ravens and the Bills earlier this year?
No, I have not seen that.
Okay, do you know anything about that game?
Sorry, I'm lying. I'm sure I watched that game, but I don't remember it at all. Because I watched almost every NFL game.
It was very close. It was Ravens 35, Bills 10.
That's not very close.
That's not very close. They absolutely demolished them. I believe they scored late as well. It was it was 31-7 or 32-7 or something for a while. It was bad.
I think.
Oh, here we go. They scored they was in the third quarter. It was 3-28.
Okay. Well, then maybe I'm wrong, and the Ravens won't fall down. But
so I thought I would have agreed with you in probably a week or two ago, but I don't know. I'm just kind of getting a feeling the other way. I think the Ravens are going to pretty much smack the Bills. I think it will be competitive, but I think they're going to win pretty strong.
The Steelers game, the score doesn't show how dominant and how boring it was. The Ravens just walked all over them.
Yeah. And honestly, that game could have been a lot closer. That Russell Wilson fumble was just really unfortunate. He's rushing to the goal line. If he just doesn't fumble that ball, it's a huge swing in that game, and they probably would have been able to impose their will a little bit more. Now, the Ravens probably still win, but it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you watch the Packers game?
Yeah.
Did you see the fumble,
Yes.
The early fumble?
Yeah.
That was so gross to just see an obvious not fumble get called the other way. It's completely swung the momentum of that game.
Yeah, that was another game that wasn't super fun to watch. It's two kind of physical teams just kind of bashing.
It's just one was better, but also it just got away from them early. They had multiple turnovers, just you can't recover.
That's why I like the Commanders game. I like a game that both teams stay in it. Even the Buccaneers definitely deserve to lose it, but both teams were in it the whole time, trying, pushing. I really don't like it when a game is decided in the first half and the game's just over, which was every other game, right? Except for the Chargers Texans was a little bit fought over, but it completely, went out of their hands. But at any rate, I am excited for playoffs this weekend a lot, actually. But the one I am not excited about is Ravens-Bills. I have this feeling, maybe I'm wrong, it's not the Ravens, maybe it's the Bills, but I have a feeling it's going to be a really boring-ass game. I know everybody else is talking about a big MVP showdown. It's going to be a big, big deal, but
I'm happy that the Ravens-Bills are on Sunday, not on Saturday. Because the way the schedule works out is there's one NFC and one AFC on each day. And so if you're going to the game, a lot of people don't view this from the perspective of people going to the games, is like if I go to the game through not trying to rush out of the stadium and traffic and getting home, getting food, getting relaxed, getting warm, by the time you get back, like the other game's half over. And so like if I actually want to watch the other AFC game, then I can't. And so I have to like start at halftime. And so it's really annoying. But yeah, so I like that they split them up that way. Do you think we're going to win?
Against the Texans?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's going to, you know what, I am I think it'll be another Chiefs practice game. I do not, I have this feeling that they're not going to empty the playbook and they're going to win by, 5 points or some really small weird number.
Okay. So you think it'll be like a what's a good example game? Like one of our division games where it's like, oh no, because a lot of times those are actually pretty close. Yeah, there's a lot of those games where it's like we have a 2-score lead and we kind of just sit on the ball and nothing really happens in the second half.
Yep.
And then they get a late score that puts it close, but then we just lock it down.
Yep.
I don't know. So for me, like 90% of this game is going to be determined by how well each team's offensive line plays.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, the Texans have 2 good edge rushers, and they have historically a really weak middle of their line, which Chris Jones usually does well against.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but if either team's O-line holds up, we're going to put up a lot of points, and both sides. And so, it's whichever team's O-line plays better will probably get the edge on scoring and come out to it. Because I think the rest we got is really valuable, especially a lot of our players were banged up.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, we haven't really seen our O-line in action at all. Like, the O-line that we're probably going to the playoffs with has never been on the field together. And so that's really concerning for a Chiefs fan from a few years ago when we saw that happen and it didn't work at all.
And that's why I think this will be a practice
game. A totally different situation.
Yeah.
But it's just still... I'm not super confident. I have high expectations, but I'm not super confident.
I think this is going to be a practice game. I think they're going to come out... Like I said, they're going to play hard. Like you say, get 2-point, 2-possession lead, and then sit back and hide everything. And I have a feeling at the AFC Championship, they're going to uncork everything.
I think this is going to be a get in rhythm game for the Chiefs.
Yep.
It's like because one of our receivers has played a grand total of like 18 snaps this year. And then we have a guy who we traded for at the deadline. Like, there's a lot of people that haven't had reps, and so just going into to playoffs cold is never great.
I'm a big believer in Nick Wright's saying, and I borrowed it from him already, which is the Chiefs practice games that they play. Like, that's what they feel like. That's what they look like. Other teams look like they're laying it all out in the field. The Chiefs look like they're poking and prodding and probing their own ideas and going back to the drawing board like live during plays. It's
so a lot of teams do tend to do that. They take it easy against like what they view to be inferior opponents. The issue I think that happens more often than not is you get complacent, and the Chiefs recently have been very good about not getting complacent and actually staying true to the goal, which is like get the practice, get the sharpen up, but also don't lose the fucking game.
Right. I don't think they're going to pedal off. I don't think they're going to be like
it's not a philosophy issue. It's a player issue, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have the leadership, like the Bills put it in neutral a lot later in the seasons, and you see it versus the Patriots this year. Mm-hmm. Like they almost lost to one of the worst teams in the league, and part of that was they were looking past them. Part of they're just playing not to get hurt, and they knew that their games didn't really matter. But it's hard to keep all 53, 63 players engaged and ready to go when they think those games are like their role in this game is not that important. Because like, oh, we're just practicing out here. It doesn't really matter. It's like, so then switching it back on doesn't always work. And so you see that a lot of the time in different games where we've had it too. It's like we play a game against the Colts and we lose like, 9-20 or something. And you're like, what the hell happened? And you're just like, well, they just didn't show up today because everyone mentally had checked out because it's not an important game. Mm-hmm. And so you got to be careful.
I don't think it'll be that. I'm talking mostly about the playbook.
I don't either.
I don't think it'll be about effort on the field. I think it'll be about playbook. I think they're going. Yeah. I don't think this is going to be the flashy Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be a surprising Chiefs. I think they're going to be purposely giving it to receivers that don't always see play and don't always get touches. I think they're going to be trying things, and whereas in a championship and a Super Bowl, every single snap is 100% of what you got, right? I think the strategy is going to be not that for this game. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
So last year, I think a lot of people misinterpret what was going on most of the year. I think that played out later, that the Chiefs were saving as much of their playbook as possible for later in the season because our wide receivers were so bad that without like trick play, basically, they couldn't get open. Mm-hmm. And when they did get open, they weren't catching the ball. And so we had to save every ounce of like schematic advantage we could have for the most important moments. And I think you could really see that because you would see, it's like, all right, anytime the game was a one-score game, you would see the Chiefs, quote, playoff offense. Mm-hmm. And when we had a lead, you just wouldn't. And we would just look flat and boring. We'd kick a bunch of 3-and-outs, and just nothing was happening. So this year, I don't know that they're really holding the playbook together as hard. They're more bubble-wrapping players that they view as important.
Yeah.
And they're still not calling their best plays, obviously, unless they need it. But the same thing with like against the Bills game. Like a lot of the Bills game was pretty close, and then you saw the game was in jeopardy, immediately long drive score.
Yep.
Instantly. Like all of a sudden everything was in unison, everything looked right. But we just couldn't overcome the late game heroics of Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that is interesting. But this year it's just like they're like the early half of the season, they were clearly just not giving the ball to Kelsey because they wanted him to stay fresh. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as like all the receivers got hurt, he had to start working. And so he got a huge target increase and got a bunch of yards. And then as they started coming back, they eased him off again. And so they're not trying to get their guys hurt. And so I don't know. We'll see. I'm very excited to watch the game.
This is why I think it's been, to me anyway, and maybe this is a personal feeling and I'm projecting a little bit, I feel like the Chiefs' target since last year at this time was Super Bowl III. Like, I think after the party and the parade, the next thought was, all right, we're going back for the three-peat. And
I think every team that wins is we have to win next year. Like that's instantly what they think.
I think
so. You're right. I don't know that anyone would think opposite.
Well, yes-ish.
Okay, how about this? You think the Chiefs did everything possible to materialize that goal?
Yes.
As opposed to a lot of teams like Jerry Jones saying we're all in and then hiring 0 people.
That's what I'm talking about.
Letting a bunch of people walk.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah.
Right.
You verbally are all in, and technically, yes, you want to win, but you didn't actually.
Publicly,
you didn't put the rubber to the road. Like
no.
You got to make the choices.
Your decisions. Here's the thing: when you align all of your decisions towards a goal, everything feels and looks and acts and behaves a little bit differently, right? And so I feel like the Chiefs, the whole season is about manifesting specifically the goal of the three-peat, as opposed to the lip service of the three-peat. So that's why I have this feeling that. And maybe I'm wrong because they're so close and it's single elimination time. Maybe I'm wrong and they just uncork it now. They might. But I feel like...
Well, like I was saying, I feel like
they're going to wait till next game.
Yeah, I don't think that you will see the best plays that we have. But unlike last year, I don't think they'll be hiding nearly as much.
Yeah. It is true that it's single elimination time, right? This can be the way to lose the ability to get to the three-peat. So you can't hold everything. You can't hold every card. You're going to have to play something. So it's possible that they go out. They might, the very first drive might be just a rip roaring, 8 plays and a touchdown, right? So,
do you remember the last time we played the Texans in the playoffs?
Mm-mm.
It was the 24-0 comeback game.
No shit.
Yeah, Justin Reed was on the Texans, and he rushed a faked punt and got tackled by Chiefs legend Daniel Sorensen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I think that honestly is maybe my favorite Chiefs game of all time. The emotional roller coaster of that game. I remember like being in the stands for that game, and like everyone around me was losing their minds because everything was going so terribly, and I was like the only one in my section that was like, "No, we're still gonna win. Calm down." And then finally things broke our way, and everything came back, and it was really fun. Mm-hmm. But the just the plays from that game when basically Pat and Kelsey just go like 2v11 and just start scoring touchdowns despite everyone on the field trying to stop them.
Yeah.
There's one screenshot where it's a zoomed in picture of the field, and you can only see 8 players. It's Travis, Patrick, and just 6 Texans defenders literally surrounding them. Yeah. And it's like, this play results in a touchdown. You're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
It was just a really fun game.
What season was that? That 22?
That was 2019.
2019. Season. That season was amazing. 2019 was amazing.
That was the first Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the time before that was... my computer yelled at me. I apologize. The playoff game before that was the 30-0 first playoff win in my adult life, which was obviously huge.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, I have to fix my computer 1 second. Okay. But that game was great because we returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. Niles Davis did. And so we led that game for 59 minutes and 54 seconds. Which is just impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, 2019 Chiefs. That was the show me Chiefs, right? Just like
that was Showtime.
Yeah, everything about it. It looked like Harlem Globetrotters with football. It was beautifully bizarre.
Kind of every game was a drama show because we were down 10 points in every one of the 3 games.
Yeah,
and it was just insane. Like everything was heroic comeback and like crazy moments and like overtime, and it was just so nuts to watch. It was like the most emotional postseason ever, I felt like.
Yeah.
So yeah. It was you, me, and Max hanging out in my living room watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I remember that.
And then you jinxed the next one. Good job.
Yep, that's what I did.
All right, we should probably do our Mojo World.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron had plenty of time to come up with more movies, so that was all for you, Aaron.
Dope.
Dope.
That's what he says. That's what
Dope.
Aaron's catchphrase. Dope.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying with every fiber of my being to not listen to the drivel coming out of Parker's mouth.
The drivel. Nice.
Drivel?
Literally insulting every NFL player by saying they don't try.
Yeah.
What?
You have to understand, most players can't even conceptualize how to play on a C. It's just not possible.
I know. It's like they don't care about their paychecks or anything in life.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
So, because you said you said a comment about like them not trying or giving up or whatever it is.
They don't care. They just
don't care. You were the one who says that they don't always get up to go. Brandon said that. Because they get
I said if you allow, so maybe my point didn't come across very well. If you allow players, like if the team philosophy is we're taking these games easy to save gas for later,
right,
which happens a lot.
Yes.
If that becomes the mindset of the locker room, if you give 80% in an NFL game, you're going to lose. Like the parity is too close.
Sure.
The people are too good. Everyone on the other side is amazing at their jobs. And so if you give 80%, you're done. Like, if the game's over, you've already lost. And the problem is if you go in at 80%, getting back to 100 is so hard. And that's why they always, we take it one game at a time. Every goal is to win every game. And if the leadership of the coaching staff is not good enough, or the leadership of the locker room is not good enough, and people go in with that mentality, I'm going to take this game off. It's like, that's when you go into like a 3-game skid and like all of a sudden your season's over.
And to be 100% clear, I am not talking about players not playing their best.
That's why Parker said they don't care. Yeah, that's what he meant.
Yeah, I'm talking
I agree that coaching staff will pull their punches and they'll call conservative plays. Yeah. That I concur with.
Yeah.
I think players who start taking games off don't get the paychecks that they hope they get next year.
You end up getting a lot of games off. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can't.
No, but it is hard. We not that we're anything like athletes, but like it happens in our games too. Like when we used to go play Marvel or Monster Apocalypse tournaments. Me and Jeremy had a long conversation about this at Adepticon. Is because it was like not really a competitive game. We would always feel bad for like beating up players that didn't have a lot of experience, and so we would catch ourselves repeatedly at Adepticon. We played in like 3 different tournaments. And we'd play against someone who we, based off just social interactions, seemed to be fairly new to the game. And so we would take it super easy and get ourselves into a bad spot and lose the game against, because we were just trying to not be mean, basically, to the casual players. And so we were talking about it at lunch, like, all right, we're never doing that again. I have to go 100% every game. And then immediately the next game, I lose because I took it easy on somebody, because I thought they didn't know what they were doing, but they 100% were as good as I was. And once I like played easy for one turn, I just couldn't come back. And I was like, God damn it, I did it again. It's like immediately I regretted it. Anyway. To Mojo World. This week we have urban fantasy movies. So this is similar to the book genre of modern fantasy. So it's fantasy genre set in current day, or to current day to whenever the content came out. Okay, so Aaron is first, followed by myself, followed by Parker.
Oh, I'm taking it.
Are you?
Oh yeah, it's Underworld.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be your first pick. Good job.
Nothing if not predictable.
Yeah. All right. All right. So I have to try and take what Parker's going to take.
Don't you dare!
Right.
Oh wow,
well,
sorry, listener. I was really loud there. That was a yell.
That only leaves one obvious choice of taking Hellboy.
God damn it!
Got him.
That was going to be my second pick. It's not my first one, though. So
yeah, I think I might know what your first one is.
Really? Okay,
I think it's... Well, maybe not. What do you got? Oh, I know. It's Alita Battle Angel, right?
That's sci-fi, and no, even if I was sci-fi, I would not pick it.
Never.
My first choice is Constantine. That was
on my list.
Constantine. I love that movie so much. Hellboy was my close second, but I can't pick it. So for my second one, I'm gonna go to Highlander. I'm gonna go to Highlander.
Ugh. I saw the Highlander. It was shit.
I picked Highlander purely because of the soundtrack.
Okay. How about this? I agree that I like the setting of Constantine more, but I think the Hellboy was a better movie.
They're really close. It's like picking children. I'm not sure which one.
Okay, I think that's a widely held opinion, is that Hellboy is a strictly better movie than Constantine. But I personally agree with you that I like the setting of Constantine more. But as a movie on like cinematic merits, I think Hellboy's obviously better.
I think Ron Perlman's Hellboy is one of the most wonderful characters, like in all of that subgenre, in all of like fantasy genre. I think Ron Perlman, specifically Hellboy, and I think Keanu Reeves, as much as I appreciate him, I think as Constantine was just fine. But I also agree with you, the themes and the lore, the fantasy in Constantine was so great. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so my second pick, I'm going to go with Ghostbusters. Who doesn't like Ghostbusters? Ghostbusters is awesome.
I've watched it again. I feel like Bill Murray puts that whole movie on his back so hard and carries it, but he does. The movie is just so meh, but Bill Murray just carries every scene.
Dan Aykroyd signed on to that movie like specifically because it was a ghost movie, and his family is like super into the occult and like witches and stuff. He's off the rails insane, and I didn't know that until I watched a documentary about the movie. I was like, holy shit. And they do like interviews with him. He's like, yeah, like, yo, we like do ghost hunting. I was like, oh my god, this guy's insane. And so his family owns like an occult shop. Like, it's nuts. And he only signed on because he likes ghosts. All right, Aaron, what are your next 2 picks, sir? Did we save all your good ones?
Not really.
Okay.
How about The Mummy?
The Brandon Fraser Mummy, or the...
Yes.
Okay.
Don't even fucking... Come on.
God almighty. Sure. I don't know how much you like Tom Cruise. Okay, Mummy, solid choice. That was like... I identified as Brandon Fraser for like a solid 5 years, so yeah.
Sure. I mean, I still get you 2 confused. Mm-hmm. The next one... what about Jumanji? Does that count as modern fantasy?
I think so.
Then that's my
I mean... What else would you call it?
No, I think it has to, right?
It has to be, yeah. I would never have thought of it,
You
but
need-
100% it counts.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm happy with my 3. We're good.
Good. Okay. All right, I've already got one comedy movie. Can I do a second comedy movie? Yeah, I'm going to do this one. Big Trouble in Little China. Nobody cares. All right.
No, I had to cross it off my list. That's what I did.
Oh, okay. It's just dead silence. Like, what's happening?
No,
It's like, are you guys contemplating? Or are you just not inspired by my pick?
No,
I don't
just
think I've
immediately
ever
went,
seen
well,
it, so I can't comment.
Okay, that's fair.
Can't do Big Trouble.
I can't believe I got Big Trouble in Little China and Ghostbusters.
So it's mine, right?
Yep.
I also have a choice between a comedy and an action, but I think I have to go with the action one just because I feel like it's just so bizarre as a concept from start to finish, and yet somehow it works. From Dusk Till Dawn.
That was on my list.
And the end of that movie, what were they,
So
psychos or something? Yeah, they were psychos that explode when they touch sunlight. And you're just like that whole scene is just...
He was just, the whole time he wasn't on board with the big vampires.
Yeah. Just such a bizarre concept from start to finish.
Cool. All right, so that completes our list. Honorable mentions, I have several. Aaron, do you have any before we take yours?
No, go ahead.
Underworld 7.
Underworld 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, there we go.
And Harry Potter 4.
Ooh. So I probably should have picked Harry Potter based on how much I enjoy Harry Potter, but I don't know. It just feels like a taboo topic at this point, and I just don't want to mess with it. I would have picked Blade, except we kind of said no comic book movies, and given that it's like an MCU tie-in at this point, I felt like I shouldn't pick it. But Blade is great, obviously.
Yep.
And then I didn't think you guys would let me pick this one. Ash versus Evil Dead. Or Army of Darkness, rather.
No,
because it's, even though it sets in like modern time, he immediately time travels to like medieval times, and so I assumed it wouldn't count. And then the other one, which I didn't pick because I can't have 3 80s movies, Beetlejuice.
Yep, that was my comedy, was Beetlejuice. I love me some Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm. I really need to see the new one. I just haven't had time.
I do too. I've heard it is strong.
I've heard it's good, yeah. Did you have any more, Park?
Nope, that was my last one. Although all my other got taken, so I'm really happy that...
Yeah, I think we were all on the same page on this one. Obviously, Underworld is the best, followed by The Mummy. And then all of ours, and then Jumanji.
I think it's Hellboy, Constantine, Underworld. I think that's the actual top 3.
So you think all of our first picks were in the top 3?
Yeah, I think
I agree. Those are all like solid B+, like fucking fun movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I explained this to a coworker one time. It was like, Resident Evil is never going to be a great movie, but it's really fun.
the Mia Jovovich one.
Yeah. But like it's a really solid like campy action sci-fi horror, but it's a terrible cinematic movie. It's a bad film, it's a good movie.
That kind of reminds me that I put that in the same category as like the first Mortal Kombat movie. It was just like, how terrible is this? But I will never forget your soul is mine. Like, I'll never forget some of those dumb things that happened in that movie. But
those were $500 sunglasses, asshole. I had a Talk Boy from Home Alone 2 for Christmas one year, and then we got Mortal Kombat immediately. I played that sound because I wasn't swearing, I couldn't get in trouble. I played that clip probably 150 times to just random adults.
Yeah.
Till oddly my Talk Boy went away. I don't know where it went. Probably got smashed into a million pieces and thrown in the garbage.
Yeah, that movie was just full of another Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane was in Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, he played Raiden, didn't he? Isn't that Raiden?
No,
that was Thomas Jane. Who was that?
That was
the same guy who played Highlander.
Christopher Lambert.
The same guy who played Highlander, right?
Yeah. Thomas Jane is
not
Highlander.
I know.
You just said the wrong name. Yeah, I got it. It's just funny. You said it, and I just pictured him as Raiden, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Now I want to see Christopher Lambert and Thomas Jane at the same time, and to see are they?
Well, it's Aaron Eckhart and Thomas Jane are literally the same person.
Yeah, Thomas Jane.
If you do the split down the screen, they're the same person.
Thomas Jane and Christopher Lambert are very different ages, but if you look at them, like, they're very similar people, actually. Huh.
Well, have you seen the Thomas Jane and Aaron?
And Eckert? Yeah, I could see that too. Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, they are literally... A friend of mine legitimately thought they were the same person. Like, he didn't realize they were two different people until he saw them in the same movie together, and he's like, holy shit, there's two of them.
Yeah,
it's like, no, they're
aren't they
different
in
people.
Battleground Los Angeles or something? Is that what they're in?
They're in a movie together. I've not seen it. Here, I just posted it. Yeah, there's a Reddit thread. Aaron Eckert and Thomas Jane are the same person. I posted it in the Discord. They're the same.
Yeah,
guy.
they're very, very similar looking. I actually like Aaron Eckert a lot. I might do...
Well, you don't like Thomas Jane?
Actually, if I'm going to put them side by side, it's not close. I like Aaron Eckert.
I mean, one I would say is probably a better actor, but one is in movies I like Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, that's the problem. Is Thomas Jane is in just now the OG Punisher movie was wonderful.
Awesome.
Like it was a great movie. But Aaron Eckert, he just has banger after banger. Like, and they're not all action movies. I like a lot of his non-action stuff too. But.
Okay, one final thing before we get into the episode. Did you guys realize I changed Kenny's Discord handle?
Yes. Oh, you told me this, but I did. But where?
I think I did it while you guys were podcasting, and I was just curious. Nobody said anything.
Okay, I found it.
He was not happy.
He was not happy?
And then he blamed me for doing it. I was like, I didn't do it. And he's like, fine. Well, it was Jeremy. I was like, well, Jeremy's fucking
Jeremy doesn't know how to change
illiterate. How the fuck do you think that happened? He's like, oh, so it was you. And I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm done talking to you.
Oh, so it was. I love that he lives up to his namesake instantly.
Admission of guilt. Immediately flies off the handle for no reason. For listeners at home, I changed his name to Mr. Furious.
I think you should have done it like Mr. Levelhead or something like that. Just like even Mr. Even
Tranquility. Keel. Yeah, Mr. Tranquility.
Mr. Tranquility. That would have been better. I think.
I wish I could change his icon and just do the Jack Nicholson from Anger Management. Like, yes.
I think you should change it to Mr. Tranquility now and see what he does.
Calm, cool, and collected.
Tranquility now, insanity later.
Oh boy! All right, you guys ready to get into this?
Born ready.
Let me pull up the picture of the new mission so we can get right into that for the news. It's gonna be good. So good.